Welcome to Gardening Utah. I'm your host, Jana Francis. Today's episode is an absolute gem. I am joined by someone who I have been dying to have on my show since the very beginning. Today's guest is Sheriden Hansen. Now, some of you may know her as Utah Farm Gal on Instagram, and if you're not following her, you definitely should be because she is such a fun and knowledgeable follow. So, Sheriden is a Utah native. She has a unique blend of experience in both horticulture and health. She has a bachelor's and master's degree in plant science and fruit production from USU, Utah State University, as well as a nursing degree from the University of Utah. From 2017 to 2023, she taught hundreds of horticulture classes as a tenured professor for USU Extension, and she's currently working as an operating room nurse educator at the University Orthopedic Center, which she helped open back in 2004. She also teaches temperate fruit production as an adjunct professor at USU. Sheriden lives in Davis County with her husband Wayne and their 2 teenage boys, and when they're not working or gardening, they're out exploring the outdoors and traveling the world together. And in today's show, Sheriden brings so much knowledge and so much heart and humor to everything from fruit trees to garlic to heirloom tomatoes and why eggshells don't actually help your soil. So whether you're just getting into edible gardening or you have years of dirt under your nails like me, you're going to love this conversation. We have so much fun. And you know when you're just talking to someone and you're just like, wait a minute, how have we not known each other our whole lives? Well, that is how I feel about Sheriden. And we just have such a fun conversation. So let's dig in with Sheriden. Well, Sheriden, thank you so much for being on the show. I have a funny quick story where when I very first thought, oh, maybe I'll start a podcast for gardening, I started to ask around of some of the experts in the garden space that I already knew. And it was like, okay, who should I consider having on the show? And the very first name I got was yours. So
Oh, wow. That's an expectation for me to live up to now.
there you go. Yeah, so you were highly recommended. And so I've wanted to have you on the show ever since. So happy to have you here on Gardening Utah.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. It's gonna be a good conversation, I think. So yeah, excited.
Oh, me too. And I think we have something incredibly in common that I know a lot of gardeners do, but I think we take it to a new level. So when people ask me what is one of my favorite things to do with gardening, I call it something fresh every day. So from growing in my garden, whether it's chives or, when you've got your kitchen counter filled with tomatoes from one corner to the other, no matter what it is, my favorite thing is knowing that I can put something fresh on the plate for my family almost every single day. So I noticed that was one of the things you mentioned, and I thought, oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. It is. It's like the best feeling ever to be able to go out and pick something that you know that you grew. You invested your time, your energy, your heart, all your love, all those things, right? So it's going to be way more than nutrition at that point. And you put it on that plate for your kids or for your family or whoever it is. And it's like a little piece of you. It's more than just a vegetable, or it's more than just a flower that I grew. It is my time. It's my love language, I think, honestly. If I grow it and cook it and make it for you, that is how I tell you that I love you. And so that really resonates with me. So yes, we have that in common, 100%.
I love that so much. And it really is. I've never thought of it that way as a love language, but isn't that the truth?
Yeah, it is for me. I know that some people that may not resonate with, but yeah, I mean, we all have our ways of doing that. And I think for me, it's that investment in time and energy that equates to that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know where it came from.
Absolutely. There's something to be said about knowing your farmer, which is a wonderful thing. Like you go to the farmer's market, you get to know your farmer, but if I'm the farmer, it's like a level up, I guess, for me anyway. I love all the farmers that I buy produce from and I support them. And absolutely every chance I get, I tell everybody about how great they are and the wonderful things that they grow. But if I grow it, then I'm the farmer and for me, that just makes my heart really happy.
Oh, me too. I know it's just the best. And to
Yeah.
me, it feels really powerful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like giving you that control over what you grow. And not that we're control freaks or anything like that. It's just that I chose that plant. I chose that tomato. It's an adventure for me. The garden is a choose your own adventure every year anyway, right? So, I invested my thought and my effort into that type of seed and watched it grow and gave it that chance at life. And so yeah, it's kind of that whole, I don't know, just that encompassing story.
Absolutely. A lot of times when I'm putting in a plant or a seed, it's like whether I started it or not, it's it's like bloom where you are planted. And the way I kind of look at it is like the land around me that is in my control works for me, right?
Right.
Meaning I nurture it and it gives back to us and it feeds our family. And I love the thought process behind that.
Yeah, me too. And you just said bloom where you were planted, and that just popped my grandmother right into my mind. And she used to say that all the time. I grew up all over the place, and you go through hard things, and you would tell your grandmother, or that person that you trust, I'm going through this, and it's really tough. And then, she would always look at you and say, bloom where you're planted. And
Oh,
that's a great thing. That's another just twist on the whole plot there, that it's not always just about what you grow, but it's like making the most of that situation, what you have in front of you, and using that to create something better for the people that you love as well.
totally. And for some reason, gardening and especially vegetable gardening and some types of flowers like iris and peonies or dahlias take me right back to walking the garden with my grandma.
Oh, we have a very similar experience. That's what it is for me. I mean, I grew up in horticulture, and my grandpa was the one that taught me to love vegetables. It was being out in the garden with him. He was the one that, picked the sun ripened tomato and it was still warm from the sun. He kept a salt shaker out in the garden, and he'd use his pocket knife and cut it and salt it, and we would just eat it right there. And so, walking a golf course takes me back to with my dad. Being in a garden takes me to my grandfather. It's that connection with our past, but also with the future, because we teach our kids and we teach other people. So it's that chain that kind of never ends, and that's why it's so important.
It's so true. I love that. I'm I am making that a note. Put a salt shaker in the garden. That's
In the
genius.
garden. Yep, it's a great idea.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh, I love it. So tell me about your specific, berry or vegetable gardening. I know I love your Instagram, by the way, and I was watching
Oh,
your whole blackberry situation. And so tell me about some of the things that you grow.
I grow anything that I can eat. I mean, I grow vegetables, I grow fruit, I grow, also things that are beautiful to look at. I kind of have a little soft spot for water-wise gardening. We're in a desert, so that's what I try to do. But my passion is definitely edible crops. So I'm very drawn to vegetables. I love the variety. I love the heirlooms. Not that there's anything wrong with hybrids. I can be team hybrid too. But the heirlooms kind of have my heart, because they come with a story, and it's that romantic piece of the vegetable world that really makes me happy. My master's degree is in fruit production, so I have a very big soft spot for all of the fruit out there, especially for the tree fruit. My master's thesis was on light and how canopies intercept light and how pruning affects that. So I got to know our growers in Utah. We have amazing growers that work so hard, and they know their stuff. If anybody out there knows their stuff, my goodness, they are so smart, and they are just on it, just on their game all the time, and just really impressed with them and the work that they do to feed us. And so that's kind of where I live, is in that edible realm most of the time. That's
Yeah.
my favorite. Yeah.
What's your favorite peach variety?
Oh,
You're like,
I I love Suncrest. I love Red Haven. I really love the Saturn peaches, but they don't. Those are the ones that are like donut peaches. They don't store well, so you have to just eat them right off the tree, which means that I would live under the tree for 2 weeks and just eat constantly
Yes.
because they're so good. They just don't store, and you like they're hard to, preserve or anything like that. White fleshed peach, they're difficult. And then the
Uh-huh.
way they're shaped, everything. But oh my goodness, they're so good. And there's nothing better than a peach that you pick off a tree. And honestly, the best peach that you'll ever eat is the one that drips juice right off your chin. And it doesn't even matter what kind it is. It's just got to be warm and ripe and right off the tree.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. It's coming up. It's coming
I
up.
know it's coming. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Now, do you can your peaches? What do you do?
We mostly eat them fresh. Sometimes I freeze some of the peaches. I don't have a lot of time to put up things necessarily. So mostly it's just a frenzy of eating whatever is in front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
what other fruit trees do you personally grow?
let's see, we've got apples and we've got pears, Asian pear. I just planted a plum, so it hasn't really produced yet, but I have one.
Yeah.
Um, I really love growing apples. Apples are kind of that um, just traditional, fruit that goes so far back. It has an incredible story about where it came from. And, if you go into the mountains by, I think it's Kazakhstan, and you look at the different apple varieties and where they came from, it fascinates me. I get so excited about it. I've read several books about it, and I can't seem to get away from that and that history and the um, they kind of have figured out the beginning point of where they came from and where they developed from, because there is this huge amount of variety in that area, and that's kind of how they go back and pinpoint where a fruit or a vegetable originated from. And so that story, that history, how it's traveled, how it's been cultivated over time really interests me. So I'm always growing apples, plus they're just so good. You
Yes.
can't get away from that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's so many different things you can do with them as far as
Oh yeah.
you can use the whole apple, the
Oh,
skin,
absolutely. Yeah.
As somebody who is planting a fruit tree for the first time, what would be your biggest pieces of advice? Because I've seen some conflicting things even in the last week that have been recommended to people who ask the question. Some say, oh, leave the fruit, let it go. Others say, oh, you want to prune the fruit off for the first couple years, let those roots get established. Give us like the quick and dirty, in your opinion, of like what people should really look out for in the first couple years of planting fruit.
Okay. Most important thing, pruning starts on day one. And that's probably the biggest mistake I see people make. They're like, oh, I just planted it. I'm afraid to prune it. I'm not going to prune it for 2 or 3 years. Then we have to go and correct and play catch up. And it's not fun. It's not easy for the tree. So plant the tree and start pruning right away. As far as fruit on the tree goes, you definitely want to give the roots an opportunity to establish. And so you have to think about energy expenditure in the tree. So whatever you're asking that tree to grow, it's going to put energy into it. So if I'm asking the tree, this brand new baby tree, to grow fruit and roots, it's going to split the energy between the two. And it's not really going to do a great job on either one. So we've got to kind of prioritize what's most important. And I mean, you think about it, the base, the establishment of that tree, making sure that it is well rooted, just like all of us in life, we want to be well rooted, right? That's going to help it hold up against the wind. It's going to affect fruit production later. It's going to affect nutrient uptake. So that is so important. So take your fruit off the first 2 years. And then after
Okay.
that, after it's established roots, then we can move towards fruiting. If you don't know how to prune, I would suggest that you take some fruit pruning classes. I know a lot of our nurseries offer classes. I know that the USU Extension Service offers classes, as well as some of our water conservation districts. Sometimes they have pruning classes as well. A lot of them are free. There are incredible resources. If you go to some of our local universities like USU, Utah State University, there are resources about how to prune fruit trees. Some of them I wrote, you may see them there. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so we've got what I think are some pretty good resources, but don't be afraid to prune. And when you go to prune, you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. But guess what? Trees grow back and they're pretty forgiving. So do the best you can, learn about it as much as you can first, do the best that you can, and it comes with practice. So don't be afraid to go out and do it. People are so scared to put the pruners in their hands. Just go and do it. Know where your fruit is on the tree first as well, because if you go to an apple tree and you prune off all the spurs, you're not going to have apples for another 2 to 3 years because they're slow growing. So, and I talk about this on Instagram every single year. We go through this when it's time to prune. We identify where the fruit is on certain trees. So, like apples and pears have spurs, peaches and nectarines don't. So, that kind of affects where you prune and how you prune, for sure. So, do your research, then go prune.
Yeah, okay. And so it is true then, take the fruit off the tree for the first 2 years. And
Yeah.
does that make a difference if you purchased it bare root or if it was actually had established roots in a big pot?
No, it really doesn't matter because it's going to have to establish in the native soil, and you really want it to put that energy and effort toward getting those roots to start to extend from the tree. So definitely, if it's potted, if it's bare root, it doesn't matter. Just get busy, take the fruit off, let the tree do its thing, support it, with good water, good nutrition. They could probably use a little bit of a fertilizer right at the beginning while they're trying to put on wood and establish. And then after that, trees don't need much fertilizer at all. So, just support it the best you can.
Yeah. Is it fine once you put it in the ground to prune it, even though you're supposed to prune technically earlier in the year?
Yeah. So later is better than not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would get a lot of phone calls asking, I forgot to prune my tree or I was out of town and it didn't happen. What do I do? And it's okay to prune a little bit later. What we don't want to do is prune late into the summer. But
Okay.
through spring, early into summer, it's just fine. Just get it done as soon as you can. It's best when trees are dormant because you can really see the canopy. You can see what you're doing. It also reduces disease incidence. So every time you make a cut, you've got to think, I'm wounding that tree. I'm opening up that tree for disease. So earlier in the season, when it's cool, when the pathogens aren't out floating around, it's a better time to prune than later. So you do have a little bit higher risk, but I would definitely prune rather than not, just because of the problems associated with not pruning. And we're going to end up with structure that we don't want, wood that we don't want, energy expenditure in the wrong places. So
Yeah.
definitely prune.
So if you're putting in a bare root fruit tree that only it's literally just a stick, if you will, right?
Right.
It's just tall with no real branching. Do you even prune that?
So it depends if it's a peach or a plum or a nectarine or something we're going to take to an open vase shape. Absolutely. So
Okay.
what you're describing is what we call a whip. So it's just
Yep.
a single branch that comes up out of the ground, that just a single trunk.
Yep.
And sometimes they'll have what we call feathers, really small branching on them, and sometimes not. But if it is an open vase shaped tree, then absolutely you are going to prune and you're going to make a cut. And everybody gasps every time I do it. Every time I post it on Instagram, I get a lot of hate mail. Um, but you have to do it. So where that vase is going to open up, you have to make a cut, and it's called a heading cut. It's like an off with their head kind of moment, and it's got to be between knee and hip height. If you don't do it, your fruit is going to end up way up high in the canopy. You're not going to get sunlight moving through the canopy the right way. And so we have to do this cut. And what that cut does is, and I kind of explain it to people like this. You have a tree and it has hormones, just like a teenager. I have two teenagers right now, so that really resonates with me.
Yes.
So they're filled with hormones, and there's a hormone called auxin that controls dominance in the tree, and it controls who is growing where, and it wants to have one point that's the tallest. It's just like a company. We've got this person who's at the head of the company who's like the CEO, right? If we fire the CEO, what happens to all the guys around the CEO that were under him? They're all going to jockey for position, right? They want to be the new CEO of the company. And so they're going to start to grow and move. So when we cut off the top of that open vase peach tree, all the buds underneath it are going to break, and we're going to get all this growth underneath that open vase shape that we're trying to create. And that's going to give us branching. It's going to force all these guys to jockey for position. They want to be the biggest, the one that's in charge. And that's going to give us branches to choose from next year so that we can start to form our scaffolds in that open vase or in that open center tree. So those types of situations I would prune right away. If it's a whip like what you described, and we're doing an apple or a pear, something that's a central leader, a modified central leader, then no, you're going to let that keep growing until it gets to a height that you want to stop the height at. And then you're going to do that heading cut. But while it continues to grow, it will start to send out some of that branching that will eventually be your scaffold branches, those main branches that go off to the side. And that's where your fruit is going to be. It's just going to be a little bit slower process than what we do with the peach or the nectarine. They grow a lot faster.
Gotcha. Okay, and what about the hybrid varieties? Is there anything you do differently, like a pluot or a pecotum?
So a pluot is a cross between a plum and an apricot. So you get into all of these weird things
Yeah.
where they've got these names that are mixed together. So a pluot I would grow like an open vase. So because it's a plum and it's an apricot mixed together, you can go with that open vase shape. What was the other one that you said to me?
Pecotum, I think it's a peach and an apricot.
Oh, okay. So yes, again, you would do an open vase shape with that one. So really our stone fruits, with the exception of um, there is one type of plum and also the cherries, you will grow a little bit slightly different on those ones. But all of the other stone fruits tend to be done in that open vase shape.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is great. This is great advice. I love your analogy of the CEO. This is brilliant. It makes so
I
much
was
sense.
I was explaining it to a guy that I prune for. We prune together because I'm teaching him how to prune, and he's the CEO of a company. And I'm like, so what if we just get rid of you? he was like, he was just like this look of shock and horror. I'm like, we just cut you out of the picture. And I
Uh,
was like, no, not really, Steve, just kidding. But you got to think of it this way.
totally.
He was like, I don't like your analogy.
That is awesome. I love it. Okay, so peach tree borer. Am I saying that it's called peach tree borer, right?
Yeah, there's two borers on peach tree. So are you talking about the one at the base of the trunk?
Yes, I've heard
Okay.
that if you're not treating for peach tree borer, you have peach tree borer. Is that
Well, not necessarily, but likely you will get it.
okay?
So it is an insect that will bore at the base of the peach tree, and you'll see gumming, or what we call gummosis, at the base. And sometimes you'll see also what we call frass. So that's like insect poop. You didn't know I was going to say poop on the podcast, but insect frass at the base of the tree. It kind of looks like sawdust. So you'll see that kind of mixed with this gumming at the base of the tree. What you can do is you can pull the gumming away. You can take a piece of wire, sometimes a wire hanger that you get from like the dry cleaner works really well, and you just thread it up through the hole that you see there. And sometimes you can skewer the little larva that's up in there. Once it's there, the problem is it opens up the tree for infection and disease at that point. And once it's there, you also have more of those that show up. So it's best to treat from day one. And what we do is we do a trunk spray, and there are several different types of chemical products that you can use. You can look this up online and find out the one that works best for you and make your choice. But I would just look up USU Greater Peach Tree Borer, and there's a great fact sheet that comes up and it will give you that list of chemicals. And so you're just going to trunk spray the trunk once a month. You do not have to go up into the canopy, but starting in about June, it kind of depends on how warm it is. So if we're having a really warm spring, I would start, mid-May. And then once a month from there on out through the fall. And that will prevent those from coming, laying eggs, and boring down into the tree. They can kill your tree. I've seen them kill a tree. You get a heavy infestation of them, and it goes unnoticed. And that's when that happens. Other things that you can do is take like the bark away from the base of the tree. If you've got like bark mulch, or if you've got grass growing up against the base of the tree, take that away. You just want bare soil around the base of the tree. That way there's not so much organic material that they can kind of burrow into and be unseen. It kind of prevents them from going to the base of the tree as well. It's not a foolproof, so you still do have to spray. But there are some organics and there are some conventional things that you can use, but you just have to pick the chemical that's right for you.
Okay, that's a great tip, by the way, of really limiting the organic matter that's around the base of the tree.
Yeah, it does help. Yeah, and like I said, it's not foolproof, but it does kind of discourage.
So what would you do if you're trying to keep weeds down away from the tree in general? What do you think is the best application, what product to put down, and how far away would you stay from the trunk?
Okay, so if you're trying to keep weeds away from the tree, you've got to be really careful. First off, when I grow any kind of fruit tree, I want a nice dirt area where it's just dirt down around the base of the tree. I don't want grass up against the tree. And the reason is that grass, and it's been shown in multiple studies, that the grass will compete with the tree for nutrients, and it will actually compete so much that it causes a decline if you were to compare between areas with grass and areas without grass. The areas with grass have smaller trunk cross-sectional areas, which means the trunk is just smaller in general overall. So it's important to keep that competition away from the base of the tree. So number one, start with a shovel and you're going to remove the grass around the tree. So my trees get a 3-foot circumference, or 3 feet all the way around the circumference of the tree. So it ends up being about 6 feet across, all the way around. And that will decrease that competition. It will also decrease the weed pressure. If you don't like to hand weed or you don't have time to hand weed, you can spot spray. But if you're dealing with a small tree, you can get what's called trunk guards. And they're just like a little plastic wrap that goes around the base of the tree. I've seen them on Amazon. You can order them super easy. And that will protect the trunk. Because if you get any spray on that tree, like even just it was slightly breezy and that spray got on the tree, you can kill your trees. So I would trunk guard and then I would spot spray. There are multiple products that you can use. Like I said, with the other one, you use what you love. Some people will use a product like 2,4-D. Others will use that swear word Roundup. I know it's a hot topic. People are, oh, it will kill the whole world. It is a tool. It's a tool that's in the gardener's tool belt. So you just have to look at it like that. And if you don't want to use it and if that's not right for you, don't use it. I do try to limit how much I use it on my property. So next to my property, there's an area that is owned by a water company and they don't control the weeds. So the only place I use it is just up against the fence right there. So I do use it there, but not around. I try not to use it around my edible crops very much. So I tend to hand weed. I make a date with my yard at least once a week. And the yard knows I'm coming and I get that time in the yard and I just weed and get into my Zen mode. And that's how I do it. But you do what works best for you.
That's how I do it as well. I figure, you know, I worry about the drift with 2,4-D and then,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some occasions where I have a very similar situation on the south side of my property where it is a neighbor's acre, but it's basically a thistle farm,
Mm-hmm.
uh, intermixed with their fruit trees that have grass growing right up to the trunks. And
Yep.
you're right, they don't seem to thrive very well. They're unpruned and relatively ignored and never irrigated in any fashion at all. So I'm surprised
Yeah.
they even fruit at all. But we do get quite a bit of weed seed coming through the fence. So we do kind of tend to like, oops,
Yeah. You're like,
I'm
oh,
not
sorry,
sure how that 1 foot section just always dies.
I don't know. It just doesn't grow there. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think they appreciate it. It's one less thing they
Yeah.
have to do, right?
Yeah. Right. And there's a time and a place for it. And like I said, it's a tool and you have to choose when to use it. And it will vary for every person and every situation. So
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Okay, so this is a selfish question. I am putting in a blackberry patch. So I've got two different kinds of blackberries, a boysenberry and a loganberry,
Okay.
and I'm very, very excited about it.
Good.
And I was like loving the setup you have with your blackberries, how it's on your Instagram, which is remind me,
Utah Farm Gal.
Utah Farm Gal, exactly.
Yep.
And you've got this awesome like raised bed with this trellis situation. It's so cool.
It's a whole situation. That's exactly what it is. It's a situation. I love that.
And so tell me about, give me some, first of all, tips on how you think I should get them established and all those things. But also I noticed yours are in a raised box. Is that for any specific purpose beyond, obviously awesome aesthetics, etc. So
It
give me the
really,
scoop.
yeah, it really is aesthetics, because that whole, so I have a really weird yard. I have a third of an acre, which is not huge, but it's big enough for what we're doing right now. And the whole yard is in the front yard, which makes life really interesting. I have like this narrow alleyway of a backyard. Super weird, but I've mastered the alleyway planting. It's
Nice.
awesome. It's awesome. But so that means that my vegetable garden is in the front yard and my fruit is in the front yard. And how do you make it look pretty? So I have raised beds in the front yard. And so just to keep it a little more, snooty, high end, it's in the front yard kind of situation. That's why we really did the raised beds. You do not have to do raised beds. The great thing about the raised bed is, blackberries, raspberries, these things tend to run a little bit and they tend to get a little more out of control. And so having them in a raised bed can help with that for sure. Especially with raspberries, which you didn't mention raspberries, but if somebody was looking at raspberries, that raised bed can definitely help. So that's really why we did it. And then we did a cattle panel trellis, which you mentioned you can see online at Instagram. And I think I have it pinned in one of my highlights so that it's
Yes.
easy to find. And so it's 4x4s with rails. It's called an eye trellis is what the technical name for it is. And I saw it online years and years ago, something really similar to it. And I ended up building beds just like that at the USU Botanical Center, and I loved them. So when I left USU, I took that design that was in my head that my husband had helped me build at USU, and we did it at home. And it looks really nice. It holds everything in nice and tight because it is kind of a smaller space. And so I don't want the blackberries flopping to the side, and I don't want the raspberries flopping to the side. So this trellis system kind of helps hold everything straight up and in place so I don't end up with this out of control corner of the garden that I can't get to and I can't harvest the fruit from, and it feels
Yeah.
like a jungle. So that's why you definitely do not have to do a trellis that is that extreme,
Okay.
for lack of a better word. I mean, it can be so simple. It can be as simple as T-posts with baling twine,
Uh-huh.
and we've done that. We've done that on our research farms for years, where we ran baling twine with those T-posts, and it works just fine. So you do what you can afford, you do what you love, you do the look that you're after. And if it's just utilitarian and that's all you need, and you're just after the fruit and none of it matters, that's great. It's all about growing fruit. That's what it's really about.
Yes. And so, as a first year planter of all of these, and I still have not planted them, how far apart would you put them?
They need to be spaced pretty good. So I would say at least 2 to 3 feet apart, because if they're blackberries, boysenberries, those types of things, they're going to fill in, and you'll have a good stand that shows up from that. It's going to take a few years. Are you planting bare root? Or are you planting plugs?
They're like in a gallon pots with roots
Oh, okay.
established.
Great. Yeah. So I would give them some space. And where they've got nice established roots, you'll have berries really fast. I mean, I planted mine last year and they were just tiny plugs, like a 2 inch plug. And they are like 6 feet tall and they're flowering. And like, right, it was like this last weekend, they went right into full bloom. And I was like, oh boy, we made it. This is going to be great. So you'll be surprised how fast you have fruit on those. It will be great.
Oh, that's exciting. So should I like is it's okay to put the loganberry near the boysenberry and the
Yeah, because they will spread and they will run a little bit. You're going to want to space them so that you have definite, lines where this one is and that one is, so that you know what you're harvesting, unless it doesn't matter to you. Some people, they don't care and they just put it all in one big space.
Yeah.
And I could never do that because I have to know what it is. And
Same.
that's just my inner nerd
Too.
has to know.
I know.
So, yeah, so you'll want to definitely separate out the space. There's no problem with cross pollination or anything like that. So they can be near each other, just give them their own defined space, is what I
Yeah.
would tell you to do.
Yeah. I'm a little worried. Well, maybe you could help me with this too. And I'm sure that there's other listeners out there that are thinking the same thing. So with this particular patch that I have that's kind of ready to go, because I'm landscaping the other half of my yard. So I have like 1/2 acre that's been done for 10 years, And then I've got another half acre that we've been working on now for, oh my gosh, it feels like forever. But I finally have where I think I'm going to put this berry patch. And, but what I'm concerned about is it is on the south side of the house, which means like mega full sun. And the
Hmm.
patch is kind of closer to the house. And so I'm worried that that might be a little too hot. It could either be perfect or it could be just too hot. I'm not sure.
Does it get any shade at all?
None.
None. So it could be a little warm. We deal with these things called microclimates, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're describing to me is that you have this microclimate, it's south facing, it's going to radiate heat off the house. What color is the house?
It's that portion is like foundation and then gray, so it's not like too
Okay.
hot. Yeah.
Not crazy. Okay. You might be okay. Um, there's one way to find out.
That's true. That's
um,
true.
and you can plant it, but I mean, it's a pain to have to move it. So, I mean, you can always pull it away from the house as, you know, as far as you can. Give yourself a few extra feet if you can. That will reduce some of that reflected heat and reflected light from the house.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I have apple trees that grow on the south side of my house, right up against my house. I have an espalier fruiting wall that I've been working on.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And it's on the south side and it doesn't get shade, but and they do just fine. So you never know. Like, yeah, and my house is a lighter color, so it doesn't retain quite as much heat. But if you've got a nice lighter gray color, it may not reflect quite so much. But you know, if you're really worried about it, you can move it a few feet out.
Yeah, and I do have enough space to move it out, and I'll probably want to do that anyway so that I can walk behind it and harvest that way too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for sure. You'll want to be able to walk all the way around it.
Yeah. And do you think I should start with support and trellises like from day one?
I would. It just makes it easier. It's really hard, and I've done this because so at the botanical center when we did those trellises, the berries were already established, and then it was an afterthought that it wasn't my doing. But I came into the situation and it was like, hey, we need some trellises. Why don't you put those in? And it's actually really difficult to get those trellises in sometimes with those established plants. So if you can trellis before or right after you plant, I mean, you've got some time before it's going to grow, right?
Yeah.
So just get it done soon is
Yeah.
what my suggestion would be, having lived through that
Yeah.
that situation. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Okay. I'm excited because that's one thing that I grow so many vegetables, but that's one thing that my personal garden has always lacked is like a lot of fruit.
Yeah. And I think it's something that we overlook, you know, because it's so easy to pick up a thing of berries at the grocery store or, you know, from other places like farmers markets. But growing it yourself, it's just a different adventure.
It really is. It really is. Okay, let's talk vegetables. I want to
Oh, good.
know what is your very, well, asking what your favorite vegetable is like picking a favorite kid, I'm sure, but
It's
let's
hard.
maybe varieties. Like tell me what you grow and what some of your favorites are.
So my all-time favorite things to grow, um, I have a soft spot for tomatoes. Everybody knows it. It's pathetic. They're like,
Me
oh
too.
gosh, here she goes again on her tomato kick. I kind of fell in love with this idea of heirloom tomatoes. And so I love all of them. There's not one that I can pick. But I fell in love with this idea. I was reading a book about tomatoes years and years and years ago. Amy, what was her name? Amy Goldblum, I think, or Gold. I got to look up the name, but it was all about heirloom tomatoes. And her father was Italian, and he brought a tomato, brought the seeds from Italy, and he owned a grocery store in New York. And he grew this, oh, Goldman, that's her name, Amy Goldman. He
If
grew
you
this.
say Goldsman Italian, I'm gonna freak out,
That's
Sharon,
it. That's it.
because
That's the one.
that's
Yeah. So it's such a good tomato. You can use it for everything. But he grew this for the grocery store and it became a staple and everybody loved it. And so she wrote this book on tomatoes and that's how she fell in love with tomatoes was because of this tomato that was brought over by her family. And I read that and it just blew my mind. I was addicted. So I started growing everything and that tomato is not the easiest one to find. So I keep a stash of seeds and every couple of years I grow it so that I can have more seeds and hoard the seeds.
I'm sitting
But
here freaking out because
are
this is
you?
I've I don't remember what episode of my show in the past that I've talked about it, but I promise you, I have said the Goldsman Italian is by
So good.
far the most delicious sauce. You, you,
Yeah.
you cannot describe it.
No, you can't. And it has this silky texture. If you bite into the tomato, there's like this weird silkiness on your tongue. And I'm a texture person, if you couldn't tell. And so I grew that tomato, I ate that tomato, I fell in love with that tomato, and it's all just been downhill from there. Like that was the tomato that spurred it all. So yeah. And I think that's crazy that you and I have that same tomato in common. That's the one.
And there are so many varieties of tomatoes. I mean, of
Oh,
all the tomatoes. But you're right, Goldsman Italian, it's not, you can't find it at Lowe's. You're not going to find it
no,
even at a local nursery at all. This
no.
is like the specialty tomato.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think I originally got it from Baker Creek from
Yeah.
rareseeds.com. But
Uh-huh.
then I ran out of seeds and then I got nervous. So I bought some on Etsy, I think.
Yep.
And but yeah, it's truly you're right, silky
Yeah. It has
texture.
this texture. And you're right, it makes an incredible sauce. Like the depth of flavor in that sauce just knocks your socks off every time. And I can't get over it.
It's indescribable.
I'm
I'm
still
loving this.
addicted. I'm
This
still
is
addicted.
funny. When you said
Yeah.
Goldsman, I thought, oh no, she's
You're
gonna.
like, oh no.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, and
I
I can't
have,
believe that her last name slipped my mind. But yes, yeah.
and what I have one jar left of sauce from last year because I put it up. I can it, and I
Yeah.
have one
Uh-huh.
left, and I'm like, okay, do I want the San Marzano? Because I even I like label my cans. I'll be like, okay, this one's enormous plum. This one is, San Marzano Ridorta. This one's Goldsman Italian. I put a big star by it, just because so the kids know, like, do not touch this one because this is for
This
the
one is, yeah,
special occasions.
this is a special one. No touchy. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean that this like just spurred this whole thing with me where I have this quest that will never be fulfilled where I have to try every tomato. And some of them grow great and some of them don't. I'm never going to get through all of it, but I'm going to die trying.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I grow on a trellis, so I string trellis my tomatoes. Most of them. Some of them don't string trellis well, but most of them I'll string trellis just to save space because I end up planting anywhere between 20 and 25 tomatoes every single year. And on this little tiny piece of property with, you know, such a small vegetable garden because it's all in my front yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have to string trellis, and I have this string trellis contraption that I put up every year. I think that's on Instagram too, if anybody's interested in how I do it. And we shade fabric, and then there's all the pruning that happens. But it's like right in my driveway, and all my neighbors are like, "Hey, what craziness are you up to now?" I think it's a topic of conversation. Like, what weird thing has she put in this year? So everybody's happy. Yeah.
Incredible. Okay, so what are the other varieties you're growing?
Oh my gosh, I have a whole list. So we went to Italy last year and then I fell in love with tomatoes all over again. So I've got a bunch of weird Italian varieties from around Mount Vesuvius. We'll see how they do because I'm not in Mount Vesuvius soil, obviously. So we'll see how that goes. It may just backfire. I've gotten way into the micro tomatoes. Those are kind of fun and weird. They're great for small spaces. They're really quite prolific. Or what we would call precocious, where they don't put on a lot of leafy green tissue, but they put on tons of fruit. So you get a big bang for your buck. So I've gotten way into those. My husband requested 18,000 different kinds of cherry tomatoes this year. Apparently, I didn't grow enough last year. So he was like, please prioritize cherry tomatoes for me. So we've got just, I've got one that's dancing with Smurfs. If you remember the Smurfs,
Yes.
like from the 80s, those of us who
Yes.
are so old, like I think I'm older than you, but Papa Smurf and
Oh yeah, when
all of
Saturday
that.
morning was worth getting up for, right?
Right? You'd get up so early and you'd get your cereal and park yourself in front of the TV and it was the best day ever.
That's
So yeah,
right.
this one's like a blue cherry tomato. We'll see how that goes. Yeah,
Fun.
just weird stuff. I get into these deep dives into tomatoes and I end up with all these weird varieties and people are like, "What are you growing?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm the same. To me, why grow a regular red tomato? Like you can get those anywhere.
Right? There's
Come
so
on.
many other types.
That's
Um,
right.
I'm really into this one. It's called Marcelato. Have you seen that one? It's
No.
like fluted and ribbed, kind of like Castellotto Genovese, if you're familiar with that one. That one's a little
Yes.
more common. But I
Yep.
think the Marcelato has more tomatoes on the vine. Like it just seems to be a little more fruit heavy, and it is good. They're a nice
Um,
acidic tomato that you can use for sauce or you can use just for slicing. I don't know. People say, "Oh, it's only for sauce." I eat it however I want to eat it, honestly. I don't know about you, and
yeah,
I'm sure there's other people out there like me that just I'm like, "Oh, it's a sauce tomato." I'm still eating it. It's still good.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And sauce tomatoes are really great in salsas because there's not as much water.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's one of the things I love about it.
for sure.
Um,
The other thing I'm way into right now, I mean, I grow garlic every single year and I get really crazy about my garlic. So that is something that is a highlight of my garden every single year. And I put racks out on my front porch when I harvest. So then I can cure underneath my covered porch. And again, the neighbors come and they're like, "What are you doing?" There's just like garlic everywhere. And I'm like, I'm trying to ward off Dracula and cure my garlic at the same time. Don't judge me. It will be
yes,
great. And I'll share it with you if you're nice.
that's
Um,
right.
but yeah, it was just way into garlic. I brought some garlic back from Italy and planted that. It hasn't done as well, but we'll see when I pull it. We'll see what it looks like. It just doesn't look quite as robust as some of the other varieties that I've grown. I do have a garlic. It doesn't have a name. It was brought here to the US by an Italian man. And it's a variety that his family has grown for 130 years. So it's a no name variety. And he was nice enough to share it with my friend JD, who shared with me. So because he knew I was crazed and really heavily focused on the garlic, he was like, "Here, take this, be happy."
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
so that one's really an interesting one. And it's really good. It's a soft neck variety, so you can braid it, and it makes beautiful garlic braids. Yeah,
Ooh, fun.
yeah.
I have never, yeah, I think I've only grown hardnecks, so I've never been able to braid my garlic.
Oh, you got to grow at least one soft neck so that you can braid, and then you can hang it up, and it's like this piece of art that you eat.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. That is on my bucket list for this year. Salt
Okay.
at the tomato patch and and yeah, soft neck garlic.
Do you eat your scapes?
Oh, I love them. What do you
Yeah,
do with
they're so good.
yours?
I do like scape pesto. I throw them in scrambled eggs. I put them in stir fry. I put them in everything. I'm like, "Oh, we need garlic. We're doing scapes." Yeah.
I'm just laughing because where have you been all my life?
We're like the same person,
I
living
know.
parallel lives. Yeah.
Seriously. So here's one of the things I do with my scapes. I will dry some in the dehydrator
Hmm.
and make a powder. And when I tell you it makes the best ranch dressing.
Ooh.
I mean, it's almost like you've added the garlic and the onion and the parsley, like the green color all at the same
Uh-huh.
time. So I still like, you can just look up any normal like powdered um ranch dressing recipe, right? If you're just putting in
Hmm.
your garlic powder and your onion powder or whatever, but I just replace the garlic scape powder with the garlic powder. And I'll still add some other garlic powder because I love to dry my garlic and make my own garlic powder because God forbid having to buy garlic from the store or garlic powder is not happening around here.
No, not at all. And it can never be the jarlic where it's in the jar already chopped up. You can't, that is an abomination.
I just
Like, no.
my husband the other day was like, "Why don't you put more in it and just do a full jar?" I was like, "Honey, it loses the flavor."
Yeah, you have to only do a little bit and you can't buy it at the store because you don't know how long it's been sitting. You have to do your own. Yeah,
Oh my
that sounds
gosh.
amazing. I've got to do the ranch dressing thing now.
Yeah,
That's a whole new thing.
yep. And you know who I learned that tip from was Keen Garlic Farms. So I had her on my show, one of the owners of Keen Garlic Farms. They're out in, I think, Wisconsin, if memory serves. And they are where I bought my first round of garlic for this particular house in this garden. Um, and yeah, so she said that it make the garlic scape, the dried garlic scapes make incredible ranch. I'm like, what? And sure enough, it's the absolute best. Oh, and then my daughter's like a garlic salt fiend, and she prefers garlic scape salt over garlic salt.
Oh, there you go. See, I think it has a better flavor for some things. It's a little more mild. And like you said, it has that kind of more oniony.
Yeah.
It kind of crosses the line right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And something about the green kind of adds like you feel like you've just added like, I don't know, chives and parsley too. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It's
I
hard to
love it.
describe. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do it.
Yeah, try it this year. You'll love it. It's
Okay,
amazing.
it's my
So
new
how
plan.
how many garlic do you plant every year?
So it just depends on how much space because I crop rotate. So this year it's in a raised bed. So
Oh,
because my vegetable garden is so small, I also vegetable garden out in my park strip.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course
Like
you
I
do.
said, there's a lot of raised eyebrows
I
sometimes when
love this.
people go past my house. But I mean, it's space, right? And so
Yes.
I need that space. So if it's out in the park strip, I plant a lot more. And I actually still have some garlic from last year. So I freeze my garlic. That way I can just use it for whatever.
Yes.
Um, and so I still have quite a bit. So we just did a raised bed, and I think I have five different varieties, maybe six, with the new Italian garlic that was brought across borders.
Oh,
Um,
that's so cool.
yeah, and so yeah, not a ton this year, but some. I mean, I used to plant a lot more. It was hard going from, so I grew at the USU Botanical Center for several years, and then my mom and I had a small farm before that for several years. I'm used to growing in this mass quantity, and to take it down to small sizes has been
Ah.
really, really hard for me, but I'm getting it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gardening for a family of X, not for the entire city.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we would donate when I was at the Botanical Center, we would donate to local food banks and to the women's shelter
Oh,
there. And we would donate, 4 or 5 thousand pounds of food every single year. So I'm used to that scale. And I'm on my second year of just growing for me, and it's getting a little better.
yeah. You're like, I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it
Yeah.
back.
The first year, my husband was like, "What have you done?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so with your tomatoes then, because you grow a lot of tomato plants,
I
what are
do.
the types of things that you do to preserve?
So I will sometimes I'll do like sun-dried tomatoes where I just dry them. Sometimes I'll
Mm.
take sun-dried tomatoes and I'll do them in olive oil. Like I said, I freeze a lot of them. I make sauce. I make a ridiculous amount of sauce,
Yes.
and I freeze it just because I don't have that much more time to can it. And so I do my sauce a little bit different. I blend everything up. I don't peel my tomatoes because I just don't have time. So I will put it in a high speed blender and I will just blend the heck out of it. You don't even know that the skins were there,
Yeah.
and I'll just make sauce that way. And I'll do a batch like once a week or once every couple days as I have time, and I'll cook it down for several hours till it's like so thick and so sweet and so good. And then I'll just freeze it from there. And then we just go through it throughout the year when the tomatoes aren't here, and that way
That's
I don't
right.
have to miss them so much, right?
That's right.
Um, but I would love to make like a tomato powder. I just haven't had time to sit down and do that because I think it would be so flavorful, and I think you could like put it on eggs or do something crazy good with it, and it would just be so intense
Mm.
and just pack a punch. So I've got to figure that out. That's kind of one of my next projects that I've got to figure out.
Yeah, actually, that's a great reminder because I have done tomato powder in the past, but only with the skins. So when I
Mm.
was canning my San Marzanos, I would save the skin because why? How could I possibly throw away a part of a tomato? And so I would just dehydrate those and blend that up into tomato powder, but it never made enough to really make a difference. But
Hmm.
I remember putting it on popcorn. It was
Ooh.
insane. A little
Oh,
Parmesan
oh,
cheese. Oh my.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
My 19-year-old son is a popcorn fiend, and he
Ah.
would he would just jump right over the moon right now. He'd be thrilled.
Can you imagine a Goldsman Italian tomato powder? What?
Oh my gosh, it would be so good. It would be just like everything. in the whole world that was good in a powder.
So true.
And I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, no, me neither. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is fun. I can't wait for harvest season. Okay, so here's the thing. You have to come back on the show when it's harvest time. Even though we're going to be busy harvesting, we have to like maybe we could just do a harvest episode where we talk about, okay, do you have a garage full of zucchinis? Here's some ideas and, talk about what we're doing and stuff. That'd be a fun episode.
Yeah, that would be super fun. We
We
could do
definitely.
that easily. We would
Oh,
have a blast doing that.
oh, for sure. Okay. So I've got some final questions here as we round out the hour,
Okay.
that I think will be kind of fun. So, what is a common garden myth or mistake that you see happen all the time?
Ooh. Um, the one that drives me the most crazy is to put eggshells in your soil. Utah, you're laughing, but oh,
It's like,
Utah has plenty of calcium in the soil. We have tons of calcium in the soil. And even if you grind up those eggshells, they are not plant available. They have not broken down, even though you've mechanically broken them down, they have not chemically broken down to the point where a plant can pull that out of the ground. So it's going to be years and years and years before that plant can even use it. And our soils are already high in calcium. So things like blossom end rot on your tomatoes, it's not a lack of calcium. There are other factors that contribute. Temperature, water, all of these different things play a role. It's actually a really complicated problem with tomatoes. So don't do the eggshells.
that's right. That's
Keep
right.
me sane. Don't put eggshells in your soil.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. And our soils are calcified or are classified as high calcareous, which means high in calcium. So just don't.
Yes. Yes. Just know it's not going to prevent blossom and rut, people.
No.
That's a different, yes, absolutely. Okay, so what is one underrated plant that more people should know about?
Ooh, let's see. Oh, that's tough. There are so many plants. I mean, if we're talking landscape plants, there are so many. Like I just planted a serviceberry in my yard the other day because my husband said you can't plant one more tree, and I was like, ha, watch this. It's a native. It's amazing. We don't utilize it here, and it's beautiful. It turns this gorgeous orange color in the fall, has berries for the birds. So you're feeding wildlife, you're providing shelter for them. It's adapted to our soils, it's adapted to our weather. We never use it. So that's one. I mean, there's so many. I could go on and on for days on this, but that's one that recently just made an appearance in my yard. Mostly because I was like, here, hold my rake. I'm going to go get another tree because you said I can't. And I'm going to get a really good one. Yeah,
And what
yeah.
about ornamental grasses? I think you talked to me about that before.
I did, yeah. So ornamental grasses have a place in my heart, and I don't think we utilize those enough in our landscapes. I mean, everybody has Karl Forester feather reed grass, but there are so many others. Miscanthus is absolutely beautiful, and the thing that it does in your landscape is it gives movement to the landscape. And that is something that we sometimes don't think about. But when you're sitting in your yard and the breeze is just blowing, not wind like what we've had recently, but just a
Yes.
nice breeze, and you're like, look at that. It's so calming. And you can just feel your heart rate come down. You can feel that grounding of, your body and just really be in the moment and appreciate it. And it really is that missing piece to landscape sometime. We don't think about movement.
That's so true. Cynthia B was just on the show and she talked about bloom texture foliage, and it's
Uh-huh.
a very similar thought process, right? They've
Yeah. Absolutely. And it is texture is what you're getting with that grass, 100%. You're getting the texture and then that movement on top of it. So yeah, I love Cynthia, and that's great that she brought that idea forward. I love that.
Yeah, and it made me realize that that is where I'm definitely lacking is that
Hmm.
is that texture because I got plenty of blooms, and plenty of foliage, but I just don't quite have the texture dialed yet. So that's going to
Yeah,
be my
it's a hard
goal.
one. It's
Yeah,
one we don't think about. So, we, like you said, we think about bloom and we go to the nursery and we get what catches our eye, what catches your eye, whatever's in bloom, right? So I tell
right.
people to visit the nursery, not just in the spring, because that's when we tend to go, but go spring, summer, and fall, because different things will be in bloom. And then you're going to get things in your yard that are blooming all throughout the season instead of one season of bloom.
That's such a great tip. I love that. Okay, I have one final question, and we've kind of
Okay.
already talked about it, but what's the one thing that always brings you joy in the garden?
Oh man, it really comes back to, well, there's a couple things. Being able to harvest and eat what I grow. That is one thing that makes my heart just so happy. The other thing is just being. And I think it's something that we overlook. Like I make this weird date with my yard once a week and we weed the yard and we are there together. I am weeding, but just to be in that space and to just soak it all in. Like I try not to do earbuds. I try not to do music or anything like that. I just want to be. So that's one thing, that I think really just speaks to my heart, to just be in the moment, enjoy that space where I'm at, suck in the nature around me, listen to the birds, feel the breeze, feel that sun on my skin. It's everything that is the human experience for me, is being in nature. And I think it does so much good for our soul, so much good for our bodies. It's more of a holistic kind of thought to think about what nature does for us and what we do for her as well. So, that's my heart right there. That's happiness.
Well, there's a mic drop. That's a fantastic way to end the show. My goodness. Wow. Sheriden, you are so fun to talk to. This was a riot.
Oh, thanks. This was so much fun. I'm so glad you asked me. So we'll have to do it, like you said, again. Let's do a harvest one. It would be a blast.
Yes. I'll keep thinking, okay, I'll make little notes and, okay, here's another thing we can do with garlic, and we'll just throw it all out for everybody when their
Okay.
kitchen tops are filled with all the things, right?
Right? Yeah. And it's going to be the best summer and we're going to have the most produce ever. I swear, it's just our gardens are going to be abundant.
I love that. Yes. And none of our tomatoes are going to die from that weird disease that happened like 3 years ago.
None of that.
None of
None of that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait to have you back on the show. I really appreciate having you here.
It's been fun.
All right. Thanks, Sheriden.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. See what I mean? She's so awesome. Thank you so much again to Sheriden Hansen for joining me and sharing her incredible insights into all things gardening. That was so much fun. And I hope you're walking away with as many notes and ideas as I am. And Sheriden, thank you so much for being such an inspiring guest. And that's a wrap for this week's episode 88 of Gardening Utah. And if you loved this episode, the best way to support the show is to rate and review it on Apple Podcast or Spotify. It helps more gardeners like you find us. And if you got this far into the show, then you definitely need to review and give us a solid 5 stars, because anything less than perfection is unacceptable. Jokes aside, I wanted to tell you about next week's episode. Stay tuned, because we are going to have the president and founder of Bloomin' Easy Plants. Yes, those blue bucket containers that you see at your favorite nurseries. We will be talking with him about the future of landscaping with low maintenance and high impact plants that you will absolutely want in your yard. So I'm really excited to publish that episode next weekend. But until then, keep growing, keep learning, and as I always say, grow big or go home.